through our normal online lessons. Boys, we remember we were looking at glaciation. I began by looking at glaciation and the various terms which are associated with glaciation. After that, we went ahead and looked at ways through which ice moves. Remember, we identified basalt slip, we identified plastic flowage, we identified extrusion flow, and we also identified internal shearing. From there, I told you that glacier erodes the Earth's surface through two processes, and these are plucking and abrasion. Boys, this evening, I want us to look at features that result from glacial erosion in upland areas. Or you can be asked this question: to give glacial erosional features in or erosional features in the shaded upland areas. Which are the features which result from erosion from glaciated upland areas? Boys, the following are the features which results from glacial erosion in the upland areas. Feature number one, we have a sack. A sack is also known as a kori. It is still called a kum, where spelling of a kum is C-W-M. From there, we have a tan. We have a pyramidal peak. Yes, boys, I was saying that we have glacial trough, which is also called U-shaped valley. We also have a hanging valley. We have a rock basin. We also have a truncated span. We have a fjord, or we have a fjord. This evening, boys, allow me to take you through about 4 features. The first feature is a sack, and the question is always set: with the aid of a well-labeled diagram, describe the formation of a sack. How do you handle this question, boys? You handle this question by first of all drawing a hill, and on that hill, the top part of the hill is known as pyramidal peak. Then the sides of the hill is known as an arete. The depression on the slope of the hill is known as a sack. And the water that fills the depression forms a lake known as a tarn, or known as a kori lake. I will take you through formation of all those features. Allow me to begin by looking at the formation of a sack. How is a sack formed? Step number 1. Ice occupies a pre-existing hollow on the mountain side. Step number 2. Ice exerts pressure on the rocks beneath. Remember, step number 1 is ice occupying a pre-existing hollow on the mountain side. Step number 2, ice exerts pressure on the rocks beneath. Step number 3, it's about erosion, and erosion takes place in this manner. The depression or the hollow is deepened, the hollow is enlarged, then the hollow is enlarged and steepened. Remember, the hollow is deepened, then the hollow is widened, and then the hollow is widened, and then steepened. So how do we handle this? Step number one in the formation of a sac, boys, is that ice occupies a pre-existing hollow on the mountain side. Step number two, ice exerts pressure on the rocks beneath. Step number three, the hollow is deepened by abrasion process. Step number four, the hollow is enlarged by nivation process. Step number five, the hollow is enlarged and steepened by plaquing process. Boys, when you are forming a geographical feature, you end your description by naming the geographical feature which you are forming. For example, you end this way. Eventually, an armchair-shaped hollow known as a sac is formed. Can we move again? Step number one, ice occupies a pre-existing hollow on the mountain side. Step number two, ice exerts pressure on the rocks beneath. Step number three, the hollow is deepened by abrasion process. Step number four, the hollow is enlarged by nivation process. Step number five, the hollow is enlarged and steepened by plaquing process. Step number six, eventually an armchair-shaped hollow known as a sac is formed. The second feature, boys, that I want us to describe is known as a turn. How is a turn formed? A turn is formed when water occupies the depression that has already been formed on the mountain side. For a turn to be formed, form a sac, then add this point to a sac. You say, when meltwater or rainwater fills a sac, a lake known as a turn is formed. Can we now form a turn? Step number one, ice occupies a pre-existing hollow on the mountain side. Step number two, ice exerts pressure on the rocks beneath. Step number three, the hollow is deepened by abrasion process. Step number four, the hollow is enlarged by nivation process. Step number five, the hollow is enlarged and steepened by plaquing process. Step number six, eventually an armchair-shaped hollow known as a sac is formed. Step number seven, The sack is filled with meltwater or rainwater to form a lake known as a tarn. Let's move to the feature number 3. The feature number 3, dear boys, that I want us to describe is known as an arete. It is important that you note that for an arete to be formed again here, a sac must be formed. And you form a sac in plural. How is an arete formed? Step number 1. Ice occupies pre-existing depressions on mountain sides. Step number 2. Ice exerts pressure on rocks beneath. Step number 3. The hollow is deepened by abrasion process. Step number 4. The hollow is widened by nivation process. Step number 5. The hollow is widened and steepened by plucking process. Eventually, armchair-shaped hollows known as sacs are formed. Then you add this when you want to form an arete. You say sacs cut back to back, pro-headward recession. Sacs cut back to back, pro-headward recession to form a knife-edged ridge known as arete. After forming sacs in plural, you only add this sentence. Sacs cut back to back, pro-headward recession to form a knife-edged ridge known as arete. Boys, allow me to end our online lesson. In case you have any question, you can ask through our common WhatsApp group. May all of you have a good evening.